Alright, so what we're going to do is first of all create a prod environment, and basically I'm only on one workspace, so I have to take one of my databases and just add the word prod to it and then replicate it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have the number one demo prod database, which you'll see. Okay, I got my serverless SQL endpoint working. It's serverless, so it's right up and running. So I should be able to come over to my SQL editor and come into data, hopefully, and it should load up my databases. So my first database is one demo, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically make a copy of one demo, and we're going to call our new database one demo prod. Okay, so I'm just going to say create database over here, and we'll run that. Okay, so now we should have a new database over here, one demo prod, which you see here. That has no data in it, right? So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a bunch of tables. Actually, I'm going to take all the tables from this one demo, and I'm going to push them, copy them over to one demo prod through what they call CTAS, which is create and replace table. And then you give it the name of the table, and then you just select from it. So here's the one demo prod, and I'm going to go ahead and select everything from LDemo activity type, and I'm going to add an additional column to it called prod environment. Okay, and once we get done adding all these tables, we're going to go to Power BI, which is currently pointing to one demo, and we're going to repoint it to one demo prod. Okay, that's what the goal is in this demonstration. Okay, in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and it's running. While it's running, I'm going to highlight this one. So quickly, I'm going to do the rest of these and put it on fast forward, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, great. So what we got is now a one demo and one demo prod. In one demo prod now we have all the tables I just populated. Okay, except that this one has an extra column called environment, and it has a value of prod inside that environment for each of the tables. So let's bounce over to Power BI, and let's look at the table, the area there that we're working with. And so this is a report, and so where do we go to get the information about our connection information? So what we could do is we go to transform data, okay, and in transform data, well, let's go back a minute just to show you. If I go into where you think, like resources, it's not in there. If I go down here and say data source settings, there's some information here, which is, what it's connected to. But if I edit permissions, it just brings me to credentials, okay? And so this is what's going to authenticate me to Databricks, but it's not going to give me access to those. It's not going to point me to the tables. It's not going to give the location of the tables, the new ones, which are prod. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. This isn't where I should be to do that. I'm going to close. Now I'm going to go into transform data and go to transform data. And in transform data, you won't see anything up in here that's not useful. Up in here, there's advanced editor, which might show you some information, but it's a little complicated in there. So let's avoid that for now. So what we can do is go to source. Okay. And source is very interesting because, okay, first of all, we're on activity type. So our tables are located over here. I went to the table, the transformation, so it brings me in tables. So if I go into the source for activity type, to edit settings, and I go into source, you'll see this area come up. Now what is this? Well, this is your server host name, and this is your HTT path, okay, which really is your cluster path. So this is pointing to the cluster. Down in here you can have more information, or you can leave it blank and then select from the tables. So what we're going to do for each one of these, we're going to reset this. Number one, right now I'm going against, this is going against an interactive cluster, and I want to change this. I want to change this to the serverless cluster. So let's go over to the serverless cluster and see what we got there. So I'm going to go over here to SQL Warehouses, and this tiny SQL Warehouse endpoint is the name of my SQL Analytics cluster. Okay, so also called SQL Warehouse. So I'm going to click on there, and I'm going to go into Connection Details. And in Connection Details, you will see this particular area here, and that is the ID of the SQL cluster. Okay, so let's go back, or the serverless cluster I'm trying to get to. So actually, my bad, we need to come in here and we will need to copy from SQL to here. Okay, and when we come over here, you'll see SQL here, and I'll copy from there to here and paste. Okay, second of all, we need our server host name, which should be the same. So if we look up here, ADB 407.7 Azure Databricks, ADB 407.7. Okay, they're both the same. Okay, so now, right before it was pointing to a different cluster and a different database. Okay, it was pointing to one demo. So now I'm just going to go in here and say select asterisk from one demo prod, because now I want this report to be pointing to prod. And then I'm going to say activity type, activity type. There's two Y's, threw me off there. Okay, so that should give me the right information, and here is going to want the catalog, which in this case is Hive Metastore. Okay, now what you might miss is that down below you have import and direct query. Sometimes it defaults to direct query, so you want to come down here. I like it to be import in this case, so I'm just going to say OK, and we're going to hopefully see this thing work. So I hit OK. It's asking for my sign in. So I go into my sign in, or you could use a token, but that's in another video. So I'm going into my sign in. It's asking me for my credentials. Now I've signed in here before. It's sending something to an authenticator, which I'd rather just have it sent to my phone, so I'm going this way. Now it's on my phone, so I'm going to type in the code. There we go. So now I hit verify. You are currently signed in. Connect. And now it's authenticating me to that cluster. And there we go. Now as you notice, I'm getting the columns from activity type, but I'm getting the additional column called environment, which is only in the one demo prod database. Okay, so that was successful. All right, so what I'm going to do is do the same thing for the rest of these. I have to open up at each one, so I have to go to city, have to double click on source, and do the same deal. Okay, and then when I'm done, we'll circle back with you and we'll look at the results. Thank you. Okay, now I've been going through this, right, and when I went to country, I must have double clicked a little extra or something, and it looks like it's trying to start up the cluster that's attached, the old cluster, right, that's attached to it that I'm trying to change. But the problem is the old cluster is an interactive cluster, which means it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to start up. Okay, so I think if we went back over there and looked to see that cluster, which it was assigned to before, and we go over to workspaces and compute, which is a different area called interactive clusters, as you see the little circle is rolling. That's because it's starting up that cluster. So what's happening is I'm having to wait here about 5 minutes for that cluster to start up. So you might experience some sort of wait like that, and it's not an error, it's just the way it works. And if you do come across a Power Pivot, rather not Power Pivot, maybe Power Pivot, also Power BI report that is based off a cluster, and it's not a serverless cluster which pops right away, you could have a 3 to 5 minute wait just to get going, and you think it's an error or something's wrong, but it's really not. It's just a cluster starting up. So I just want you to be aware of that. I'll go ahead and proceed once this starts again. Okay, now it's started, right? So I'm actually, while we're talking, so now I'm going to pop back over here, and all of a sudden you see I got a result back, right? So now that's up and running. I'm going to go back to my step here, and then I'm going to, I believe that's the right one. Well, anyways, I have it here. No, this is the right one. So this is a new one. And again, I'll type in my information, and I'll get back to you in a couple in Presto time when I'm done getting all these tables organized. Thanks. Okay, so we got it all ironed out there and put them all in. The one demo prod. There were some keys didn't match any rows in the table, which is, I'm not really sure why that is. But we can go in and just go ahead and correct that. So let's see what we got. So here we got, there are pending changes in your queries that haven't been applied. Well, let's apply them. So it looks like we're going to have to reapply the keys. Now, I'm not sure why that is, but or some of them anyways. So let's see what we got. We got the player level. Let's see what we have here. So okay, I was getting some key not found type error, but now I'm doing well. I'm seeing my prods. See, I'm getting this error here. And I wonder if it's part of this navigation, because once I delete it, the table shows up fine. So again, there, I delete this, because the sources seem fine. I go far to the right. I'm not really sure what that is. I'm sorry about that. But the main thing is you save a copy before before you make these kind of changes anyways. So in case this doesn't work for you, I don't know exactly why that's causing this navigation to happen. I just don't know what that was. So now we're back. We got prod at the end of each one, which means it's pointing to the right place. I'm going back, going to close and apply. So everything's cleaned up there. Now I'm going to apply changes. This is where we're getting a lot of errors with our keys. And now, because we know we're adding that extra column, that's causing some sort of distress somewhere in there. So, not sure what would have happened if I didn't add that column. Maybe it would be okay, but I'll just let you know. Hopefully it'll pick up those references, those key references inside of the relationships, because the tables really are exactly the same except for the additional column. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to look at the model view. Ooh, it looks like all our relationships are looking pretty good there. It says there are still pending, so let's apply some more changes here. Make sure that everything is in sync. This guy doesn't want to go away. Let's try one more time. Okay, so let's look at our report. And as we see, we can see our report, which looks the same, which is fine. I'm just going to close this one up now. Oh, I see there's something wrong with this one. So let's see what that is. Oh, now it's in place. Everything seems to be acting comfortably. So let's go into this area here, this particular visual. And I want to add the environment. So I'm going to go down to, these are from the level, activity type, player. Wow, it's got for everything. I guess I can add environment from anywhere. So I'm just going to add it from here. And now, if I pull this open, we're seeing prod as our activity, as our environment type. And as we look through all of these, we see environment, 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 environment. Okay. So what's good about this is that, let's say you have a big dashboard and you have all these tabs, a lot of work into it, right? And you're going to create a new report, but you're going to point, you want to point it to prod instead of, you want to point it to prod instead of to dev. So like in this scenario. So you can take the same report, then change your location inside the area I showed you, and clean it up a little bit, and there you go. Now you don't have to change all your visuals that are set exactly the way you want, just because you're going to prod with it. Okay, I hope this helped you. Thank you very much. Bye.